Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RecoveryView's 54th edition live show. Yes, this is our 54th edition. If you've never been, please go to RecoveryView.com. We have articles all the way back from 2008, and we have three of our authors tonight talking about their articles that they have on our website. So we have wonderful authors you're going to be meeting and professionals in the field of addiction and behavioral health. I hope all of this is helpful to you and your family, and that you can reach out to us if you have anybody, a loved one, that may need some help. I'm very excited to get started with tonight's show. This is our New Year's show for 2021, Gone with 20, Bless and Release 2020, and we're moving on to an entirely new everything. Everything is brand new in 2021. I'm not sure what that means yet, but I don't even try to guess. But I do know for sure that we have our show tonight, and that's exciting. And now we're going to bring up our panel so that you can meet them. And then we're going to start with each speaker for 15 minutes, okay? But for now, let's just bring up our entire panel so you can say hello. We have Ken Seeley, Pete Nielsen, and Spero Alexio. Hello, guys. Welcome to RecoveryView's 54th edition. And thank you for joining us tonight.
Hey, Josie.
Hi.
Good evening.
You. Isn't this interesting that we're all in the virtual world here, like, Hollywood Squares?
The Brady Bunch, right?
The Brady Bunch.
Exactly. The whole new world. Usually we would see each other at this time of year at a conference or something, but now we're doing this on Zoom. I'm going to have each one of you just say a few words to our audience. So we'll start with you, Ken.
Well, thank you everyone for being here tonight. Such an honor to be a part of this, and thank you for including me, Josie. Just love you dearly, and I'm excited for this new year. So
yes,
stay connected this way, right?
And your article, I cannot wait. We're going to have you on tonight, and the name of your article, and for those who don't know, I am going to introduce everybody individually later in detail, but Ken Seeley, most of you know, is from the Intervention show on A&E, and a lot of people are excited to meet you online. And your article is 2021, A Year of Resilience, 5 Ways to Stay Resilient in the Years to Come. I am thrilled to have that article, Ken, and have you discuss those 5 ways. I'm going to be taking notes. We should all have our notepad so that we can write down how do we stay resilient, because it is definitely still pretty up and down bumpy. And like I said, we don't know, but at least we have the experience from 2020 to kind of push us forward, I think, because that was quite a year and so for everybody. But thank you for writing this wonderful article and joining our show. It's quite an honor to have you. Have our Ken Seeley, our RecoveryView celebrity author.
Well, it's an honor to be here with you. So thank you for asking me.
Wonderful. And Pete Nielsen. It's so great to have you tonight. Thank you. Would you like to say something to our audience?
Yes, I just have to say that I'm so happy to be a part of the show and welcome you all. And, I want to thank Josie for putting together this wonderful, cast of characters, so, what a way to bring in the new year, and I'm super excited. This to me is all about hope and about, change and about resiliency. And I'm super happy to be a part of this show. So, thank you, Josie, for
wonderful. Yes, thank you for being part of our show. And Pete Nielsen, his article, he'll be our first one up, is New Laws for Addiction Treatment, Parity Likely to Impact Billing and Treatment Organizations in 2021. He's going to talk about our treatment industry, but I just want you all to know, I'm going to be reading his bio, but Pete comes to us from Sacramento, and he does so much advocacy work through his organization, CCAPP, that I've asked him to also speak on what he can share with the public and everything that we can be doing to get involved with recovery and how to access it and any hurdles that might be with this opiate epidemic and everything that we need to know about that, and how in Sacramento and in Washington are people, how are our legislators helping us with our epidemic. So I think Pete is our expert, certainly in our industry. So thank you so much, Pete, for joining us, and you're going to help us with that. with some of that knowledge that we need to know, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, very
Absolutely.
good. Very good. We want to know for 2021 what's happening. Okay, very good. And Spero, would you like to say something to our audience?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I was attracted to the show because at the beginning you said we're interested in all kinds of views about recovery and treatment, and that drew me right in. And that's what I've been about for years, finding out what's going to work for the individual as opposed to trying to fit them into a treatment approach. And I think we're going to have a great show tonight. I'm going to talk about psychedelic assisted therapy, which is a new leading edge of drug treatment, and in particular ibogaine, which is a type of plant medicine. And again, I appreciate all views, and I try to incorporate anything and everything that will work for my client.
Yes, and for you, Spero, you're writing an article about ibogaine, an alternative universe for drug treatment, part 1. Although you are also a relapse prevention expert from doing Terence Gorski's work. You wrote an article for us a couple months ago that you and Terence had actually wrote together before he passed away, who was legendary in our industry for relapse prevention. So it's interesting, and I look forward to talking to you about how you combine the traditional and now the new non-traditional so that we can help everybody, right? Because not one model fits everybody. So tonight's going to be definitely an exciting night with all 3 of our different topics. Now, just so the audience knows, when you go to the RecoveryView website, RecoveryView.com, our other authors, I have an article from Sherry Lane, Dr. Sherry Lane, and her article is called Who Am I? And then we have one from Dr. Tion Dayton, who is one of my dearest friends from New York, and she's also writing an article, Letting Go of 2020, Moving On to 2021, and she's a famous author on trauma, so she might be talking about that in her article. And I have an article in RecoveryView for the first time. Usually I have a letter from the editor, but I took a little bit from the book I'm writing about my Archangel work, and my article is called The Power of Joy and Playfulness. And that was an article I wrote for the new year. So, and how important playfulness and joy is just in our daily life. So you guys might want to go on there. I have all the girls, we didn't bring them up tonight, but we have all the gentlemen here tonight. So, but there are other articles, and from last month, other wonderful articles. So please go to RecoveryView.com and when we're done with the show and look at our other articles that we have and share them with your friends. So thank you guys for being here. And now we're just going to go ahead and start. Every one of the speakers tonight, actually, they're authors for this 54th edition, so the audience knows. I'm going to interview, and they're going to speak on their article for about 15 minutes each. Okay? And thank you very much. So now I am going to start with Pete Nielsen. And like I was saying, I'm going to read some of your bio here, Pete. About Pete. Pete is the CEO of CCAPP. And that's CCAPP is the California Consortium of Addiction Programs and Professionals. Has worked in the substance use disorder fields for over 20 years, in addition to association management. He brings to the table a wealth of experience as a speaker, interventionist, family recovery specialist, counselor, and educator. And Pete, can you tell us about CCAPP so that way our audience knows what CCAPP is and what you do for our community and at a whole?
Absolutely. Thank you, Josie. And I'm so happy to be a part of the show. So CCAPP is a consortium, and what we do is we advocate for, change, and we try to really make sure that we're able to have treatment, recovery, prevention, available for those that need it, So we really are the one-stop shop for individuals, either, becoming a professional, starting a treatment facility, be.
So if somebody's interested in becoming a counselor and learning more, just educating themselves in general, because you have so many different certifications. So if there's anybody that's interested in becoming a counselor or just getting ethics online, they can go to your website. Is that correct? And get
Absolutely.
Yeah, because that's how it started. I think CCAPP was CADAC. And so for those of you who don't know about our industry, but you might be interested in learning a little bit more, CCAPP.org definitely has so many resources, and you put many conferences together when we are able to. And now, have you been doing your conferences online, Pete? How's that been going?
We have been. It's been great. It's been different, and you have to get used to the changes. It's not, face to face, and you don't have that human interaction, which I love, but it's a good alternative, and it's what we need to do right now to keep everybody safe. But I'm excited when we can go back and have in-person conferences.
Yes.
So, and you bring up the history. So actually, CCAPP is 3 organizations that came together. 2 are very prominent. One is the California Association of Addiction Recovery Resources, which originally started out with addiction recovery homes. They're actually the ones that really birthed and moved forward with the social model movement, and really were the experts in recovery. And they started in 1974. And they did sober living homes, and originally it was alcoholic treatment homes.
Yes.
And then later it was drug and alcohol, and they really were the peer movement back then in the 70s. And then in 2016 was really the year where things started to happen and came together, eventually with CADAC, California Association of Alcohol and Drug Abuse Counselors. And, because we knew that we needed to come together, and, where you would have a one-stop shop where you have treatment, recovery, prevention, all in one place for individuals to be able to get the resources and the help that they need, and to advocate for more resources and help.
Perfect. That's wonderful work that you're doing, and thank you for that. And it's a nonprofit organization, so you have volunteers that help. And now, when it comes to your work in Sacramento, what exactly do you do as far as legislation? I know that you're involved with helping pass some of the legislation, and specifically, if you can talk a little bit about what's happening with our opiate pandemic, or opiate epidemic. Everything's a pandemic. Sorry, because that hasn't gone away. I think it's been overshadowed by the COVID. So probably wasn't an accident I said that, but really, I know that the numbers are higher than ever. The fact that I own a treatment center, things are just, what do you see in 2021 as far as what you're hearing and what the statistics that you have for the work that we do?
Yeah, so thank you, Josie, for bringing that up. We actually did a white paper on this, and we actually took all the research and that individuals have gathered over the last 5 years about what it was going to look like. And this is pre-pandemic. What are deaths from overdose and suicide going to look like? And we found that, by 2025, they were going to be, doubled at least, and this is pre-pandemic. And so we also took data from what happened with regional disasters such as Hurricane Katrina, 9/11, Oklahoma City bombing, and we looked at that data. And what happened was there was an increase in use, and there was an increase in despair, and there was an increase in individuals coping with drugs and alcohol from that. And then when you take into the recession of 2008, you also see that there was an increase in substance use disorder after that, so what we find is anytime there is, any time of uh, tragedy or, any, emergency, that it seems that the use goes up of substance use disorder. So we're seeing that with the pandemic now.
Yeah.
The scary thing is that, what was the numbers that were going to be for overdoses and for suicides are going to be so much more after the pandemic, because the number one thing that I hear that people are coping with the pandemic is just general public is drugs and alcohol. And, we don't even know the full force of the problem until people start to normalize and go back to school and go back to work, because employers are not necessarily seeing any patterns of use or issues. Schools are not seeing any patterns of use or
because everybody's home. Everybody's using, so there hasn't been.
And right now, a lot of things that are normally the normal reporting of, let's say, child abuse and workplace substance use are all low at this point.
Right.
It doesn't mean that that's not happening. What means is that at this point, it's really waiting to be brought forth into the light. And after everybody starts moving forward and going to work and school, I think all of that, and we'll really find out, just how difficult it's been for everybody during this pandemic. And, and really the fourth wave of this pandemic is, the despair, is really what we're going to find. And, we need to bend the curve now and start preparing for what's to come, as far as, not only with deaths and from overdoses and suicides, but also for, individuals that are just need help, just need hope, just need support, and are in this wave of despair. Recently, San Francisco, there was an article about San Francisco that said that they have more deaths from overdoses than they have from COVID. So it's a very stark reality of what's going on now. And, it's time for us to bend the curve and really be proactive in getting resources and getting people help, getting more people trained, and being able to help people to access treatment better and faster, because we will need all of that support getting through this and getting beyond this pandemic. And I look at it as like a dual epidemic,
Yeah, that's what I've heard. It's like a dual pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard the opiate, because that hasn't gone away. It's gone even more, but it's kind of everything's undercover right now because people are at home, like you said. So eventually it's going to open up. And what are you hearing in Sacramento? How is it working up in Sacramento, just out of curiosity, with everybody being home and stuff? Are they still doing work for us up there for the opiate addiction and epidemic?
Yes. And they're coming back full force. And, they're really concerned, in Sacramento about the pandemic and about, what is, happening to everybody, and all the issues that are arising from the pandemic and people out of work and, the despair. So, we definitely have some lawmakers that are really looking at how can we get to a solution? How can we help? We have one of the legislators want to put Narcan into all the colleges' first aid kits and make sure that there's people that are trained so and Narcan is an overdose reversal drug, and to make sure that everybody is equipped. Because right now, currently, they don't have, Narcan readily available in every college and university.
Oh, they need it everywhere, actually. Yeah, the Narcan. because that will help save a life just right there. The thing about the Narcan, if people aren't familiar with that, it's just, you give it to the person that's overdosing and you save their life. So at ATS, where I own my treatment center outpatient, we actually, Jim will give it to them. My husband, who does the practices medicine, he'll give it to them when they discharge, just in case. And some of them have saved lives of family members and different things. So then they're okay with taking it with them, just having it around, because who knows, not to say that they're going to that they're going to relapse, but they might know somebody, whatever, but it has, I hope, saved some lives. So I know that they have things, because he can write prescriptions for it, I think, but there are certain programs, I think, out of the state where people can get free Narcan if they're interested in that. And you probably could get that information on either the RecoveryView side. That might be a good resource for us to put out for the public just to have. And it's not to say that, but if anybody here knows anybody that could overdose, it's just good to have on planes, airplanes, because they've had people that have lost their lives on airplanes trying to, fly over to treatment, or we had some celebrities recently who overdosed on airplanes and such. So yeah, it's definitely something that is good to have, and that they're doing more awareness and some legislation around that. The parity is also very important. I know that some people may or may not know, but if you have insurance, if either you have a treatment center, you work in treatment, this is very helpful, because it talks about SB 55. I think we're talking about,
Yep.
our newest legislation. Did you help put that together and pass that bill? Because that's
our organization helped, and
yeah, that's a really good bill. I've been studying it because for our company, and all it's about ASAM criteria. So it helps because it helps SB 55 and parity is putting the flame to the fire, basically, right? For the parity, to make sure that people's insurance will pay for treatment of substance abuse as they would medical. Is that right? That's the whole point. Yep. So that way they can't say that it's not a covered benefit, right? Yeah.
Correct.
And it helps with the medical criteria also, so they can get more days and things like that. Because that's been a problem, is people accessing treatment. So go ahead and talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and SB 855 is a great step forward. Yeah. We really need to go further than that, but it's a good step forward in that. We're not where we need to be. Addiction is a life-threatening disease, and it should be treated as such.
Yeah.
And we need to make sure that it gets the same acknowledgement as other diseases in healthcare, and that people get the same treatment. And unfortunately, because of stigma, that large in part on with addiction, that there's issues around parity. There's also issues around doctors treating individuals that have substance use disorder, and so this is a good start, and it does help bring some tools to help individuals get proper help. What we would like to see in the future is that the insurance companies do not pay the individuals that receive the care with the insurance money as pay the patient,
right,
but actually give it to the provider, and that's been an issue. And then also the medical necessity in California and many other states. New York has some good laws. New Jersey and I believe Pennsylvania have some good around medical necessity, but the rest of the country does not. And what that means is that, a life-threatening disease, that the insurance company, once the individual makes the criteria for medical necessity, let's say they use the ASAM now with SB 55, and they use the DSM, Diagnostic and Statistic Manual, and they use that to deem the individual that they need residential treatment, and it's medical, and it meets medical necessity. But what has been happening now is they can stop paying after 3 days and revisit that medical necessity. And all the research that I know, and I've always heard that there's no evidence or efficacy that somebody, once they meet medical necessity for residential treatment, that they're able to leave treatment within 3 days.
Right.
You know, so that there needs to be medical necessity, for a specific amount of time, either 14 days till they're stabilized, or 21 days, or 30 days. But there needs to be a limit when they can revisit that. The public system, has actually worked on that area. It's the private system with the private insurance that do deny treatment after 3 days, and then push them to less intensive, which they might not be ready for,
Right.
and is actually counterproductive. So we're really looking to see if we can push
For longer term.
more. And so, because
Mhm.
any individual that suffers from the disease of addiction, they need that support and help, and we want to make sure that they get that support and help, and it's the proper support and help.
Well, I absolutely love that you're doing this, Pete. Thank you so much. And we've worked together on this project. I'm part of an association called ATTACK, and we've been doing that work together. And I hope, 2021, that we can keep joining forces and, just making all this legislation happen. And you've always been such an advocate and friend for everything that we've done. Thank you so much for the work you're doing, because it's important that people can use their insurance, and everybody, especially right now with the economy, we can't afford to pay expensive treatment. And you have insurance, and we have, and so we want to be able to use that insurance. So thank you for everything you're doing. And I think SB 855, I said 55, 855 is a wonderful first step for that. So
Absolutely.
thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and pull you down and bring Spero up, and then you're going to come up at the end. Thank you, Pete. Okay, now, hi, Spero.
Hi there.
Welcome to the show.
I
So,
feel
okay,
the warmth. I feel the warmth coming from your fireplace.
My fire, I know. I'm going to be bringing out my fan. You notice I've been drinking wine. I know. I feel the warmth as well. It's nice and cozy here in Palm Desert. You would think there was snow outside, but really there's not. Anyways, I love my fireplace. It is very cozy for me. So Spero Alexio, about Spero, is a clinically trained psychotherapist with a virtual practice, and he is also a writer. He is considered both an expert in the dynamics of relapse and a pioneer in non-traditional drug treatment, as outlined in his article on the plant-based ibogaine treatment. And the article name is Ibogaine, an Alternate Universe of Drug Treatment, Part 1. And you also, as I mentioned, you do traditional counseling and therapy through your relapse prevention. So let's talk about all of it. So that way, those of us who are here can understand the plant medicine. You talk about your article, and then we're going to talk a little bit about your relapse prevention and see how all of this works together. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Spero.
Oh, it's great to be here, and I think I should mention that Dr. Stephen Grinstead came in towards the end of my article and helped pull it together.
Oh, that's right. And Dr. Stephen Grinstead, I'm so sorry I didn't mention. Yes, thank you for mentioning that. Yes.
And many people know he was Dorsey's right-hand man for many years. They worked together. They did classes together in relapse prevention. And Terry passed recently. And strangely enough, I've known Stephen a long time, but all of a sudden I'm doing some things with him, mostly leaning on him and his expertise.
Yeah.
And he came through like a champ for this article.
That's wonderful. And I want to thank him for that. Yes.
Yes. And I believe in that, in having a wide network of fellow therapists.
Absolutely. Yeah. Collaboration together, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So as for Terry, I really at heart am a writer. And I happen to work as a psychotherapist, but I was always very attracted to words. And in my early 20s, late 20s, I struggled with relapse and cycled in and out of rehabs, and had some wonderful therapists and psychologists. But the only person who reached me was Terry Gorski. And someone had given me one of his books, and it's like the words jumped off the page of his writing, and I felt like, well, here's one guy that really understands me, and I couldn't believe that years later we would become friends and write some articles together. But I felt some hope from his work, and I went to school for psychology and social work, and just to figure out how to help myself.
Yes, you have your Psy-M and
Yeah.
your MSW. So
Yeah, I should have gone for the PhD, but
yeah.
I didn't know if I was smart enough.
You came very close.
I know. And so what happened is that once I realized, well, maybe I could make this a profession, I dedicated my practice to the people who don't quite fit in the treatment recovery conventional treatment, because that was my experience.
Yeah.
And the odd thing is, I have AA friends from 35 years ago, 35 years ago, who have always supported me, and I carried that experience with the 12 steps with me. It's just I needed something else. I needed another path. Okay. So really, for the last 22 years, if someone needs an alternative approach, when all else fails, call Spero, or
Good.
when somebody who'd been in sober in AA for 5, 10, 15 years relapses, I would get that client.
Yeah.
Okay.
So tell us about the ibogaine. Tell us about your article. Yeah.
Okay.
What is ibogaine if we don't know what that is? And I don't. I know a little bit about it, but I don't know a whole lot.
Okay. I first heard about ibogaine leading a smart recovery meeting, which is an alternative to 12 steps. And I had a few young people came into my group, and smart recovery is like cognitive behavioral therapy. And they started talking about a plant hallucinogen in Mexico.
Yeah.
And it startled me, not because they were talking about hallucinogens, but because as I looked at these people, especially one of them was 2 guys and a girl, this young man was clear-eyed, sharp, funny, and then he said he had been shooting heroin 10 days before.
Right.
And so I kind of saw ibogaine's results before I knew about it. And as a skeptic, and I really didn't embrace plant medicine until I started researching it, and I found out that ibogaine is a shrub. It's a West African shrub. It's been used in ceremonial purposes for sort of spirit walks, and to try and see what your path is, and so it's been around forever.
Right.
But it's only in the last 40 years that someone discovered that it really works well for opiates. But it's not legal in the United States.
Oh, okay.
So what
do you do? How do you access it?
Well, this is the tricky part.
That's interesting.
Yeah, most of the treatment is available for ibogaine in Mexico. Unfortunately, it's an unregulated industry. So, just like in the States, there could be sketchy characters working as providers. They might have a great website, but they really don't know what they're doing. The joke is a guy's driving a cab in Tijuana one week, and the next week he's a shaman dispensing ibogaine.
Yeah. So that's how it is over there. Just a little 2-hour course online, and the next thing you know, you're a therapist.
Some people have good intentions, but they don't know what they're doing. This is a powerful.
Well, see, this is why I'm interested in. I had you write the article just so people know the history of RecoveryView. We've been around since 2008. So if you go and look on our website, we've been doing articles. I've been doing articles from nationally and some international. And it was the whole point when we started this. And Dr. Tian Dayton and I, she was my first author, and we started this idea out of her living room. But we were talking about how do we bridge the West Coast and East Coast, and how do we bridge therapists, and how do we bridge all these different modalities, because AA works for like 10%, I think, or 15% at best of all 100% addicts. So there's an 85% out there that don't get it. And right now with this epidemic, I mean, so RecoveryView, it's a viewpoint, it's a clinical viewpoint. So there has to be research behind it and credentials behind your name if you're going to educate us on it. So that's why I just want the audience to know that Spero is well respected in our industry, through his work that he does. And so I'm just interested in how this ibogaine can actually be integrated into helping the opiate addicts, and how do people access that? Because I know they're curious, because I know people are going to Peru and doing ayahuasca and all kinds of stuff. You don't even have to go to Peru to do ayahuasca. You go to Mexico to do ayahuasca. I mean, they probably can do it at Joshua Tree, but I'm just, so I'm just wondering, how would somebody that has tried everything, including medication assisted treatment, but they just cannot get off their heroin, how is this an alternative for that person?
I'll give you the advice that I give to some of my clients who want to try something different. And ibogaine's not for everybody, by the way. It's a powerful hallucinogen. So it's usually people who have cycled in and out of rehabs and they're looking for something else. But because it's illegal in the States, there has to be more of a sort of a commitment to do it, and their intention has to be that they really want to experience it. And so they have to educate themselves. I make my clients go online and research ibogaine and come back to me and research what is the important aspects of a treatment provider. And it's basically, do they have experience? Have they been doing this a long time? Are they safe medically? And lastly, are they going to prepare you correctly? Because this isn't like something you just take it and we'll see it.
Well, even for what Dr. Stephen Grinstead, who is an expert in our field, written many books on relapse and chronic pain. So, the fact that he's co-authored this article tells me there's something there. I just still am not sure I understand how, if it's illegal in the United States, how do you access? I guess that's my big thing. Okay. Although I'm sure people will find a way to do it, but I'm just, yeah.
It's been the hardest thing for me about this. I do the aftercare. I do the continued care in the States for people because it requires, requires.
Are you a shaman yourself? Do you actually do the ceremony with them, or?
The closest I come is I sit in my backyard and I have a fire pit and I watch the sunrise in the morning.
Okay.
So since I started 6 years ago, I've done some of the hallucinogens that are legal. I've traveled and tried not ibogaine, but 5-MeO-DMT, which is it's called the God molecule. But here's the thing: there are places that you really almost need a guide, like someone like myself or somebody who has gone to a clinic.
Yeah.
Like there's a place in the Bahamas, like on the entire East Coast. There's only one place I like in the Bahamas called Levante, and COVID is even more restricted there. So you have to go through all these protocols to do the treatment in the Bahamas, but it's close to the East Coast. All right. In Mexico,
and here is Mexico for us. Okay.
Yeah, in Mexico, there's the Anselmo Center, which is run by Tom Leonard. That's run by an American who's living in Mexico, who has embraced the culture. And the people who do good ibogaine treatment, they have a professional ethics about them that motivates them to help people.
So would you consider that if people go onto our website, to the recoveryview.com, I hear an echo. I don't know if you guys do, but that if they go onto your article and they read your article and they click into your email as an author, that they would be able to reach you to
Yeah.
get more if they're interested in it, because it sounds like it could be complicated and that we'd need lots of evaluation assessment. And you're a psychologist.
Yeah.
So do you do those assessments for people who are interested,
I
and then you
do.
can help make the referral? Is that how
Yes.
this would work if somebody's interested?
I'm very cautious, and I'm very about suggesting this treatment.
Right.
And you have to do a thorough assessment.
And they have to have behavioral health assessments, the whole 9 yards, because
Psychological.
so, it's just I can see that a small percentage of people that it would help, but it would have to be thoroughly assessed with dual diagnosis and medications and all of that. I'm sure that could be a hot mess if people just decided to do that on their own.
The gentleman before was talking about overdose deaths, and Ibogaine, it almost works too well because someone will come out of it not only fully detoxed, but with a vision for their life. The hallucinogen part shows them their history and helps resolve some trauma, and it gives them an idea of where they might be going. And the detox part blows away opiates like heroin. However, this is the big thing. The gentleman touched on overdose deaths. The biggest issue for Ibogaine providers is dealing with oh my God, I just blanked on it. Fentanyl.
Mm-hmm.
Fentanyl is the biggest issue for them because you have a synthetic opioid and you have to detox them off of the fentanyl before you do the Ibogaine. Okay, so if someone really doesn't know what they're doing and tries to do a quick Ibogaine detox, and the person says they're a heroin addict,
and then they have the fentanyl that they think is, and then that could be a big mess. So definitely, we want if anybody here on the audience they're interested in this for themselves, or somebody that's gone to treatment 30 times and they're whatever the situation might be, I would recommend you go to RecoveryView, click onto Spero's article, reach out to him so that he could, give you an assessment and then determine if, maybe you can help with other things. Because it's what I'm hearing, it's a small percentage, but that small percentage, it works on well, but they really have to be screened is what I'm thinking, right? So we don't want everybody to go out and try this at home. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, and don't just look at a pretty website and head down to Mexico.
Exactly. No, you're I would say that they should go through you. You have ethics, you have credentials, so you're good with that. And I appreciate you bringing this hot topic on. It is a new topic in our industry, and you know me, I'll bring on new topics just so that way, because we want to be, if we can help one person save their life that nothing else would have worked, then I'm all for it. If it's one person that it works for, okay? That's one life that's worth many. So thank you so much, Spero. We're going to bring you back up at the end. And now it's time for Ken Seeley. Thank you. That was very, very cool. Okay, so now, hi, Ken. Let's see. I think you're on mute.
How are you, love? How are you? Here I am.
Great. I'm so glad that you're on. This is so perfect that you got to, you're our third, because me at all my conferences, I have the keynote at the end to keep everybody here. So just so you know, that's why, not that anybody would ever leave, but and I want people to leave with the topic that you're going to be speaking on, 2021 resilience. But meanwhile, let me talk a little bit about what Ken does. So most of you know Ken, but if you don't, Ken Seeley's company's name is Intervention 911 and Ken Seeley Rehab. Ken works with clients in the Realm family, in the Realign family systems to support recovery. I couldn't read. Through his work as the founder of Intervention 911 and Ken Seeley Rehab. Ken is featured on the Emmy Award-winning A&E television series, so he's an Emmy Award-winning celebrity series Intervention since 2005. He is often asked to speak on addiction conferences, town halls, and on television, and you've spoke at many of my events, and I'm so honored to have you here tonight, Ken. Ken is the author of Face It and Fix It, published by HarperCollins in 2009. So you're a published author, an international speaker, and you've done so much wonderful work on the Intervention Show, helping families to understand addiction. And you work with families. When I think of Ken Seeley, I think of course, the best interventionist, but also the work that you do with families. And so talk about all of that. You do so much wonderful stuff. The name of your article is 2021, A Year of Resilience, 5 Ways to Stay Resilient in the Years to Come. Thank you and welcome, Ken Seeley.
Thank you, Josie. And, that's what we really need to focus on right now, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's so difficult out there right now.
It is.
I mean, watching the numbers grow. I mean, we heard Pete talk about it, Spero talk about it. The numbers are growing, the deaths, the epidemic is, the pandemic is creating an epidemic around addiction. It's, increasing the numbers. I think Jim put it in there, all the numbers right in the chat.
Yes,
I mean, it's painful what we're experiencing right now. And I love the way that Pete talked about how it's not even there yet. We haven't even seen, right?
We don't even know yet, right? We don't even know.
We don't know the fallout of this. And it's scary because, our neighbor here is an emergency room doctor, and he said that people, he had a patient come in stabbing himself in the neck, mental health issues, all kinds of things that we get to look forward to in the year of 2021. Yeah.
As professionals working in the industry of substance abuse and behavioral health, especially behavioral health, I agree. There's a lot going on. I'll read what Jim put in the chat. He put the overdose deaths are 661 and COVID is 139, May 2019 to May 2020. National deaths up 50% to over 81,000. So those are new numbers, I think, that just came out a couple weeks ago. So,
Yep. And that's what's happening. I mean, I don't know about you, but our business, was a third busier last year in 2020. I mean, for 5 years, we just coasted at one level and then 30% higher in 2000.
That's about what happened with us as well. Yeah, it's about that number. It's been astonishing. And what Jim would say, because he's the medical director and our clinicians, that the acuity level has gone way up. Our clients are as sick as they've ever been. They're as sad as they've ever been. There is, their addiction is as deep as it's been. Yeah, I mean, it's not, but they want to be in treatment too. The ones that we have, they're holding on to this connection. Also,
yeah, definitely. They're knowing that this is what they're doing isn't working, and they're fearful. I guess that's a good way to put it. They're holding on because of the fear that they've never went this far out. They're keeping it to the limit, and they never went that far out, and now they're fearful. So they are holding on, like you said. They're like a sponge in water. They want to learn more on how to get a better life, and that's that's really what my article's about. Is I really want to help people get the tools because. The first part of doing that is the commitment to yourself. How do you make that commitment? And that's what I think I'm hearing you say. You're seeing our clients are making that commitment to themselves, and they're wanting a new way of life. And they're fearful of dying of COVID, but then they also have addiction, and both of them are coming at them right now.
Everything's coming at them. Yeah.
Right?
Yes, the COVID, the addiction, the depression that comes along with addiction, all of it at once. And just the energy of the planet in general for everybody, because you just turn on the news and it's just scary.
Scary right now. I mean, when you look at, we're so close to LA, and you look at the numbers in LA, they're saying they're bringing in refrigerator trucks to hold the bodies because the morgues are full. And, this is the reality of what we're going into in 2021. So if we don't do these things to take care of ourselves, it's going to be really hard for all of us. I'm saying myself, every single one of us, we have to do the things to take care of ourselves, because if we're not taking care of ourselves, how are we going to take care of our clients?
We can't.
That's
Right. We can't.
Right?
Yeah, as it is, we're all on an even plane right now because we're all in this together, whatever's going on with the lockdown, and we're going to get to go to the restaurant outside, and then all of a sudden we can't. So this being locked up and stay at home is just a whole new thing. As humans, I don't think we need resiliency to get through this because it's counterintuitive as a human being to not be around other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's going against all human nature. I mean, like recovery is about connection. Addiction is about separation, isolating, being alone. And what we do is we teach people how to connect and how to feel comfortable connecting with their peers and their colleagues and, human beings. Yeah. And we're not able to, look at us right now. We're not I can't give you that big hug.
I know, but you know what? We're also figuring it out. We were laughing because we were also excited before the show started to see each other. It's like, we got all dressed up for each other. You're wearing your tux, I'm wearing my pearls. We're like, we haven't had a chance to get dressed up at all.
This is like our New Year's Eve party.
Our New Year's Eve party, exactly.
So, and that's not normal. That's not what we teach in our treatment centers, is that we want to build the common ground and the connection for people and showing them how their trauma has created a disconnection. And now we're living in a disconnection. Before this, I had to go out and get my dinner. I had to drive out to the restaurant, pick it up at a window, and and bring it home and have dinner. So
and then take it out of the plastic containers in case somebody in the kitchen. I know.
Yep.
It's not anything by that point. It's like, geez, I guess we should have cooked. I know it's it's a whole new world. But then we want to support our restaurants.
Yes.
And pay that $100 for the. No, just kidding. For 2 meals and order up desserts and everything because all of our restaurants are suffering, and it's hard to see that. Drive down to the store and see half of the business is closed. It's
it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. Yeah.
And that's why the mental health issues are happening, because those are all the people that were working and helping us. And now they don't have jobs. They they don't have insurance. I also wanted to talk a little bit about, to add on what Pete said about insurance, because, I like that this SB 855 is helping with parity to help us. But what I see all the time, and it's driving me crazy right now, is insurance companies are saying the medical charting don't meet the criteria, and they're doing clawbacks, and they're doing non-payments. I have a really good friend with a treatment center for over 14 years that had to, shut down for the time being to reorganize because Anthem decided not to pay her. And she's a network with them.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, see, that's why this SB 855 is good. I've been, reviewing it for my own stuff. And what it does is that it gives it says that you have to go by medical criteria. All of the insurance companies, including Blue Cross, have adopted ASAM. And what was happening with the clawbacks is they were changing their criteria up every little while. They made up their own criteria. So at least this, there's a lot more to do, but this holds them to at least the Addiction Society, the American Addiction Society, American Society of Addiction Medicine is ASAM. So that's the I'd say gold seal for criteria. And at least that holds them accountable for one criteria. The problem was they kept switching it up and saying, oh, they're going to use this criteria and that criteria. So this kind of holds them accountable to one criteria. So I hope that helps, but there's a lot more when it comes to days, but denials should be stopping with that, hopefully. But it's been, they've been doing everything to not pay, insurance companies. And the problem with that is that when the clients come in, they sign a financial agreement.
Yeah.
So somebody's going to have to take the hit. Usually the treatment centers will take the hit because we work with our clients when we get denied, that's how everybody. Yeah.
I suggested to her that she just sends a bill to all of her clients and say, listen, I worked for 3 years trying to get paid by your carrier, Anthem, and they're refusing to pay me. So I got to collect from you, or you go after Anthem.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If Anthem gets bills from treatment centers, if the insurance company gets bills, I mean, from the provider, from the clients, from the patients, if say that the patient gets a bill for their treatment and because it was denied and the patient has to pay for it or the client has to pay for it, they can go fight. And if they hear from their members, then they might make a difference. So you're right about that. I think it's very important that they bill the client and, have the client fight for it. So that way the insurance companies know that member or their company can switch insurance companies if they know what's playing the game.
Exactly. Go to a different insurance company.
If they're not held accountable for it at all, then they're just going to keep doing it.
And maybe you should do a whole segment on that. Getting some of the insurance carriers in here, getting some of their chief medical officers.
Right. Well, that's how the C-suite was remember my conference, I would do the C-suite, and we did have Cigna CEO there and different insurance company CEO. We started doing that, and it's probably time to do that again and have some family members there talking about it. Yeah, the Addiction Treatment Advocacy Coalition, I'm a founding board member. We've been working really hard at that. And I know Joan Borston's been awesome at getting with family members and sending letters to the insurance companies because she knows all the head people there. So if this treatment center isn't a member, they should at least reach out to Joan, and Joan can, do a bunch of, and Stamp Corbin, they can do a bunch with that. That breaks my heart to know that a treatment center closed because the insurance company took back all that money, because we're doing the work and they're paying the bills, they're paying the counselors, and we're saving the lives. But, we can only do so much when we're not getting paid, and it's impossible, but it's happening.
And she was in network with them. It wasn't even like she's in network with them. They paid her for 3 years, and now the past 3 years, they just stopped paying her. And she kept treating the patients thinking, they're going to pay me. I'm in network with them. This is ridiculous. So
there's something definitely.
So I put her in contact with Joan and Stan. So she's talking to them.
Oh, good. She is. Yeah. And then Renee, I mean, we have that's what's so wonderful about our field is Renee Popovich, she's also doing stuff for, she's doing a bunch of legal stuff. She's an attorney that's doing stuff with Anthem because of stuff like this, from the legal end, but specifically, we all just have to work together and share our stories with each other about our clients, and have the public, have the clients help. If anybody out there in the public have had problems with their insurance company paying, definitely, there's ways for them to pay.
Yes.
And you should have your benefits. You've paid for your benefits through this new Parity Act. They should be paying for all of it. And in network, especially because that's a negotiated rate. It's not a high rate. It covers basically what it costs to treat, I'm in network with the insurance companies. Believe me, it pays exactly what it costs to treat. Yeah. They don't give you a lot of extra, but that's okay because we're in it to do the work, right?
And they still don't want to pay that. So that's
they still don't want to pay that. And it's I know.
So bringing it back to what we can do to take care of ourselves.
2021, how are we going to take care of ourselves? We're down to 2 minutes left on the show.
Yes. So let's do some SMART goals to take care of yourself. Some SMART goals to take care of yourself. Stay engaged somehow. Get to connect with other people. Check in on your friends. Make sure that they're okay. That's a great way to stay connected. And be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. This is a hard time for all of us. So be easy on yourself, be kind on yourself, and stay connected. We are lucky, the people that work a program of 12-step recovery, because we have Zoom meetings, but we have an open 12-step or open 12 steps. So you don't even have to be in the 12 steps, but at 3:00 every day, if you want to just jump in and talk about what your fears are, what your pain is, or just being lonely, don't be lonely. We're lucky we have this platform for the 12 steps, but anybody else that wants to jump in, it's open for you
how
too.
Can they find that? If they go to RecoveryView and click onto your website and your email, would you be able to give them that information?
Absolutely.
Yes. That sounds like a wonderful meeting, and definitely send me that information. I'll put it out on the website as well, on the RecoveryView, because we do need that resource just to be able to connect. Because, Yeah. I mean, look at
connection.
how excited we get. We got all dressed up because we were going to connect on Zoom tonight. Yeah. This is
It's so good to see you. You look amazing.
you do
I want to
too.
come sit by that fireplace.
Yeah, it's so nice and cozy. Well, thank you so much. I want to bring up our whole panel. We've got a minute left, and thank you, Kim. This was amazing. And Pete and Spero, what a wonderful panel tonight, you guys. I mean, literally, I think this touched on all the little pieces that we needed to for starting 2021. And I look forward to having you guys again on our show. For those of you who don't know, just coming up, we are working on a RecoveryView channel on Roku, and I'm going to invite all of our RecoveryView authors to be part of that and do more education for you, because I'm blessed to know all of you and to have experts like you and educators like you that would be able to help educate the public. And that's my goal, as you guys know, through RecoveryView. I mean, it's not a nonprofit, but it's been non-profitable for its entire 12 years. You can ask Jim. He's like done. He's like, whatever you want to do. But I always tell him this is for the public, and we're always going to figure out ways at RecoveryView to get the message out for you guys. So please go to the site, click onto all of the articles from Pete, Ken, and Spero, email them, ask them questions. They're your resources, everybody. And I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. And again, thanks to my wonderful panel. And I look forward to seeing you guys in person again, if not back on Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, Josie. Good night.